Okay, hi Tigers. This is Miss Waddle, and I want to just show you how to access and use our research database. I think I'm going to split this into two parts just to make it easier to upload to YouTube to make it more available. So this is the first part, and I'm going to show you how to find the database and then how to locate an article within the database. In the second part, I'll show you all the cool things that you can do with the article once you have the article in the database. Okay, so we start here. We actually have the database linked on several places on library web pages and things, but I'm here at schoollibrarylady.com, and I have two links here for our database. One right here that says Research Databases. If you click on that, that will go to our Gale Student Resources in Context. As well, if you cursor down to where outside resources are, you can see that it just says Chaffey High Databases, Student Resources in Context, Opposing Viewpoints, and Gale Virtual Reference Library. So there are two our databases. I can click there. Either one of those will take me directly to the database. So let's go ahead and go there. And now we'll click. And now we're here in our database. It's called InfoTrack, and you can see it says Chaffey High School. There's one password for the whole school that we have to enter. I'm actually not allowed to tell you what the password is online. It violates our contract because Chaffey does pay for this, and the company that we buy it from doesn't want everybody to get in for free. It's something that the school pays for, and they only want the Chaffey students to get in there. However, we'll be happy to tell you what the password is. Your teachers will be happy to tell you, and it's very, very easy to remember. So let's go ahead and kind of get there to our databases. Okay, when you put in the passwords, you can see that we have three database options. We're only going to look at one today. However, the others are organized in the same way, and so you won't have any problem using them as long as you understand what I'm saying about our main database. So first of all, Gale Virtual Reference Library, they're just a small group of reference books for very specific things. And so some of them are about literature, and some of them are about like biographies of famous people in the history of the world, and some are about drug addiction and abuse. We have those sorts of things in there. I think that to use a reference library would be a situation where you come in and we'll actually tell you, hey, for this project, this is a good place to go, because it's a small group and they're very specific things. Okay. The other one that we're not looking at directly today is Opposing Viewpoints in Context. However, I do want to mention that Opposing Viewpoints in Context is a great database if you are doing a research paper or a presentation that has like a pro-con thing. So if you're looking to make an argument on a controversial issue, or if you're being involved in a debate, anything like that, it's a great place to go. Okay, Student Resources in Context is our main database, and it has all sorts of things in it. So for any project and any topic, this is a good place to go. You know, if your math teacher is asking you to look up a mathematician's biography, or if you have a science project or a history, social studies project, or an English project, this is the main database. And let me mention again that Opposing Viewpoints in Context is from the same company, and so it will run in the same way if you need to use that. You just do the same thing that you're doing here, okay? All right, let's go ahead and look at Student Resources in Context. We'll click on that and we'll bring that up. All right, here's a home page of the Student Resources in Context, and you can see that, like most things, there's a search bar up in the upper right corner. And we have that search bar in the upper right hand corner, but we also have a lot of topics on the home page. The home page is actually very cool for people who are maybe not sure what they're going to do for research. Like, let's say you have a general at the end of the year, we're doing a research paper in a US history class on a social issue, and you kind of get to pick, and you're thinking, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. This is a good place to go and look. So if I look at our social issues, I can see that there are three main social issues listed here, but those are just ones that are popular. You can see over here too that it says view all. And if I click on view all, I get a much better list of what those social issues are. Okay. You can see, genocide, global warming, gun control, all sorts of things. When they add something new, they let you know what it is. This also really isn't all of the social issues. It's all the social issues that have like a little background essay about them. And we'll look at that in a second. So let's go back home. back to social issues. Let's say my topic for my paper is racism. Now, racism is like a huge, huge topic. And if I just think that's what I'm going to write about, I could actually end up writing multi-volumes, 5,000 pages. Big mistake not to narrow that down. But if I don't know what I want to do, I can click on racism and then I get some featured ideas. So I have the main topic that I was just discussing. This is an overview topic. If I didn't understand any background on it, I would go ahead and I would click view more, and it would give me an idea of the history of racism, particularly in the United States. Okay. And then there would be all these other featured kind of things that would go over all sorts of different things from history. I could kind of look over them and I could maybe helps me organize, get my subtopic. Also, while we're on this page, I want you guys to note that these are the kinds of things that are in the Student Resources and Context database. They'll always feature content, and that's on this page here. They'll give us reference works, which are articles, overview articles, primary sources from that time period that we're looking at. There'll be letters or speeches or things like that that are directly from the time period. Case overviews are legal cases. Critical essays will express an opinion. Sometimes they're even just book reviews. We have magazines, newspaper articles. Plot summaries are basically about novels. So that'd be for literary research. Academic journals, I'm going to talk about a little bit more later. Websites, videos, images, audio, and other related topics. So all of these things are available in Student Resources and Content. Not everything is available for every single topic, though, and we'll see that in just a second, okay? So here we are again, like I said, on racism, but let's say I'm going to go home because I have an idea of what I want to do. I've listened to my teacher talk. I've taken some notes. I'm particularly interested in the civil rights movement of the 1960s, and one of the things that I had noted was about Black Power. The teacher had talked about Black Power as a movement, as a thing. So I go ahead and I type in Black Power. And what I can see once I do that is it gives me several suggestions. And some of these are just suggestions of books to read, like a nonfiction book or a religious book, things like that. But I see here one of the suggestions is Black Power movement. And I'm going to pick that because my teacher had said that, because I have that written down in my notes. I know it's what I want, okay? Once I get to that page, notice that some of the things that were offered are not offered over here. So this is everything here about the Black Power movement. So I have 56 reference articles. Let me tell you guys, if you don't know something about a topic, the best place to start is reference articles. They are general overviews. Again, they'll give you 3 good ones here. Once you go through the 56, if you want to do that, you can find that the further down the list you get, the further away from the topic they'll be. The ones at the end might just like mention the Black Power movement rather than be about the Black Power movement. Whereas you can see this first one, the title of the article is a Black Power movement. So you know that you're going in the right direction. Okay. So reference articles are the best place to start when you don't know things about the topic. Okay. Images, primary sources, news magazines, etc. Notice there are no websites here. So that was one of the things that got cut out. There's no websites on this topic in our resources and context. I do want to point out something about images here. I'm going to click on an image because you might think to yourself, well, why would I pick an image from here when there's like only 4? Actually 3, because as I look at them, I can see this is the same picture. So why would I do this instead of going to like Google Images where I could get thousands of images? And to be honest, one of the reasons I would do it is this. I don't need thousands of images. What I need are a couple of good images that I can put into my presentation and that I can cite at the end of the presentation in my Works Cited page, because you are required to cite images in the same way you're required to cite articles, websites, books, whatever. So let me click on this picture here. I'm intrigued by this one. And I can see that this is Stokely Carmichael. And it gives a little background. It says it's an influential figure in the Black Power movement. And after that, so I'm going to use this. I'm going to import this into my presentation. Here's the source citation. I'm going to highlight it just so that it's easy to see. But there's our source citation. And what I can do is I can copy that and I can paste that into my Works Cited page. Okay, so this is a very easy way of doing things correctly. If I have it from Google Images, I might have a really hard time finding out where that thing actually came from and making my own citation. So for me, it just saves me a lot of time. I'm totally into saving time and I'm into doing things correctly, and there I have it done correctly. Okay, let me come back up here. I'm going to go back to my search results. Again, I'm still looking for my article. And out of all of these, let's say I see here at primary sources, and as I mentioned, that's something from the time period, sometimes a letter, something like that. My history teacher had requested or demanded that I have a primary source as one of my sources. So I'm feeling really lucky because I can see there's one here. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And I can see that this primary source is called Black Power Speech, July 28th, 1966. Now, if I do know this is a speech because it's called Black Power Speech, but if I didn't know that from the title, if the title didn't indicate that, I would still be able to tell because over here to the right, it says it's a speech. This is a really cool thing about student resources and context. You always know what you're looking at. It'll tell you this is a speech, it's an obituary, it's a letter to the editor, it's a book review, it's an article, it's a website, whatever it is, it's going to tell you. Another thing that it's going to tell you about the piece itself is how hard it is to read. It's either a basic reading, intermediate, or advanced. And that's always going to be over here to the side. So you can see this one right here, this little gold square. If I hover over it, you can see that pops up. It says content level equals intermediate. And that's what that square means. If it were a circle, it would be basic. If it were a triangle, it would be advanced. But I could just hover over whatever was there and it would tell me what the level is. To be honest with you, high school students should be able to read articles at the intermediate level. Definitely at the basic level, but certainly also I think at the intermediate level. Advanced level, it depends. Some of the advanced articles are very difficult. Some are not. It depends. And let me give you the example here of academic journals. So here's academic journals right here. And academic journals are written for research. And people who are in college will use academic journals for their research. If you are taking an AP class and your teacher requires you to do research that is and your sources have to be peer reviewed, you will use academic journals because academic journals are peer reviewed, which means that the people who are reading and writing them and the people who know the subject really well are checking each other's stuff before it gets published. They're checking their research. They're checking their results before it gets published. So it's excellent stuff for research. It's not always easy to understand. Sometimes the articles are just, if you're a good reader, if you read at the 12th grade level and above, you won't have any problem understanding them. But other times, depending on how specific the topic is, they can be very hard. An example would be in science. Say if like you're doing something on like mapping the genome in a science class and you get into an academic journal, you have somebody with a PhD in that specific subject in mapping genomes, and they're writing an article for someone else with a PhD in mapping genomes. And so you'll be looking at it and thinking, I have absolutely no idea what this person is saying. Well, at that point, you want to back out of those kind of articles and go backward. If you know nothing about it, you start with the reference. And after you get your reference articles down, that's when you move into like your news and magazines and things like that, okay? All right, let's go ahead then. And once I know that I want this article, I think I'm going to use it. I just click on it. And once I click on it, here up comes my article and I'm ready to use it. And so that's the end of this little screencast. And in the second one, I'm going to just show you all the cool things that you can do with this article. So thanks a lot. And I hope you join me on screencast number 2.